Good evening, meteorologist Eric Zernick here with you. We got a tornado warning that has just been issued up towards Carroll and Owen County that goes until 8 o'clock this evening. We've had that line of strong storms push through the area that brought that heavy rain to the metro about an hour and a half ago. That is continuing to work its way off to the east, and it's starting to get just a little bit of some rotation, so they have gone ahead and issued this tornado warning. This is just radar indicated. Nothing has been confirmed, but you can see a decent little cell there. We'll flip this over to the velocity scan to kind of show you, not really looking overly that defined, but if you kind of zoom in a little bit, you can see in the far eastern portions of Carroll County, there you go. You see a little bit of that green showing up right where my cursor is. That's where there's maybe some rotation trying to develop, and so they saw that and just went ahead and issued this tornado warning. So again, if you're in the far eastern portions of Carroll County, along with portions of northeastern Owen County, this is where that tornado warning is in effect. If you live up in those areas, go ahead and start making you to the safe locations. It's probably raining pretty heavy right now. You're getting that decent downpour with this cell. It's been those heavy downpours that we've been dealing with as this line moves through. This is with the actual cold front as that upper level low swings through the Ohio Valley. And so they're just seeing a little bit of that rotation. So they've gone ahead and issued that warning, just kind of showing the velocities again. So the green is heading back to the radar, the red is away. So you see just a little bit of some rotation maybe trying to develop near the Sanders area. So this is again the far eastern portions of Carroll County, continuing to now push their way off to the east and would be making their way into Gallatin County is where that cell is. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, this goes until 8 o'clock, so we got about a half hour on this warning for that potential tornado or rotation that's trying to get going. You can see, again, it's going to be just to the north and west of the Sanders area in far eastern Carroll County. So you can see you got Carrollton off to the west. You are not in the warning. The rain is all out of your area, so you're fine in Carrollton. It's the far eastern portions of Carroll County that we're really seeing that cell that we're still keeping a close eye on as these continue to make their way off to the east. So we'll just continue to kind of keep an eye on this. But again, most of the rest of the area, I'll zoom out just to kind of show you what we got going on, just to kind of give you the big picture. So you can see here in the metro, again, that system moved through more than an hour ago. The sun is coming back out, and we should have a fairly quiet evening as this line continues to move over to the east. It is now pretty much through Henry County, Shelby County, and now making its way closer to the capital of Frankfort, that heavy line, and even farther to the south. You can see it is pretty much completely moved out of our viewing area. Even as you get down towards Marion and Taylor County, most of the rain and storms is pushing off. We just got a little bit still down in Adair County. But again, the reason we're on air is for this cell in the far northeastern portions of Carroll County, making their way into the Gallatin area along with portions of Owen County. And again, this goes until 8 o'clock this evening. As you can see right near the Sanders area, there's that little notch where there's maybe some winds trying to come in and wrap into that storm. And so that's why we're seeing just a little bit of that rotation. So they've gone ahead and issued that tornado warning for this cell, just because we would rather be safe than sorry, but not looking overly too defined. But again, there you can see it, a little bit of the reds and greens coming together. That's where we might have some of that rotation trying to develop out in that area just to the north and west of Sanders. Looks like it's really getting ready to push into the Gallatin County region. Looking at on base velocity, you can see not looking that defined. So just probably a good heavy downpour with this as it's moving through. Maybe starting to see some of that upper level rotation with this as well. Gusty winds could be approaching maybe 40, 50 miles an hour with this cell, as well as those heavy downpours are helping to bring some of those stronger wind gusts down to the surface. But just kind of keep that in mind. Again, we're on air for this tornado warning that has been issued in the far northeastern portions of Carroll County up into the Gallatin County area, along with Owen County. That goes until 8 o'clock this evening. So there you can see that warning. It goes up into the Warsaw area. So let's maybe put a track on this to kind of see what kind of communities might be in the line of this cell. So let's see what I can do here. So there you can see Carlson is going to be in your area right about now is where that is forming. So we're not really seeing too many towns inside of this box. So that is the good news. It's probably over some unpopulated area, but still, if you have some friends or neighbors that live up into Carroll, Gallatin, and portions of Owen County, maybe give them a call, let them know that, yeah, they got a strong storm heading their way, and they are now under that tornado warning until 8 o'clock this evening for this cell that is pushing into the area. So we'll just kind of watch that here closely. It is starting to show. You can see that right here near the Sanders area, how it's kind of wrapping in there. So there definitely could be a little bit of some rotation with this system. I definitely think it's probably more in the upper levels, but it could be trying to make its way all the way down to the surface. Again, not seeing it as strong as we look on our base velocity. This is more at the lower levels, not really seeing quite that rotation. But let's take a look at maybe what some of the winds are doing in some of those stronger spots. So let's get that. We can see 12 miles an hour. So yeah, not really seeing some really heavy winds with this as well, but enough of a little bit of some rotation that they've gone ahead and issued that tornado warning, which is again why we're on air, is because of this tornado warning. The good news is it is pretty much on the borderline now of Carroll County, getting ready to move into Gallatin County. So we'll just kind of keep a little bit longer on this as it continues to be in our area. It also clips that northern portion of Owen County. You can see Warsaw is included in this warning if it can hold together. Likely going to pass to the south of Warsaw, but might not be a bad idea if you live up in Warsaw to maybe start heading to that safe location, because either way, the heavy rain is going to be moving in very shortly here. So you're going to probably get some pretty good downpours. And as mentioned, some of those gustier winds could be trying to push into the area. So that's why we're on air, is for this tornado warning that has been issued. It was issued about 5 to 7 minutes ago, around 7:30. For this cell that you can see basically straddling the Carroll-Gallatin County line. Definitely seeing some heavy rain, but it's that little inflow there that you see just to the north of Sanders that we're maybe seeing some of that rotation. So if we kind of zoom this in down to the surface line that's near the Carson area, this is right along probably 71. Maybe as you're heading up to Cincinnati, right along the highway there. So for those traveling along the interstate between Cincinnati and Louisville in that area, definitely getting some intense downpours with this cell as it is making its way through that. You can see this is near the Sparta area as well. So out towards the Kentucky Raceway or Speedway, that's probably where this storm is forming and is moving off to the east pretty quickly. So we'll continue to watch that. Let's see what they're saying with this cell. Not a whole lot. Does look like we got a wind gust as this system kind of moved through the Henry County area of some winds up to 40 to 50 miles per hour. So definitely probably producing a little bit of some gustier conditions as this continues to work its way off to the east. So we'll just continue with this. Again, this warning goes until 8 o'clock. So that's got about another 20 minutes or so with this cell. So we'll continue to watch this as the evening goes on. So we'll just continue to make sure that we're doing it very closely as it moves out of our viewing area. So we'll just continue to watch this as just a little bit longer. Once it gets out of Carroll County, we'll be able to get back to the regular programming. But you can see right now, still technically the warning includes Carroll County, but just a little bit more, and then we should be okay. As I mentioned, the storm, for the most part, looks like it's moving over into the next county. You can see this is far northeastern portions of Carroll County. The cell is moving pretty quickly, again, moving to the northeast, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. So that is the good news, moving at a very good clip. Maybe not seeing quite the rotation that we were earlier. It's becoming much more broad. It's not that real tight circular rotation that we were seeing. You can see you got, if I zoom this in a little bit more, you can see we got those greens and reds, but normally you want to see that really tight. This is kind of just some broad rotation in the upper levels that we're kind of seeing right now. So the good news is this is just radar indicated. Nothing's been confirmed, but definitely a pretty heavy, intense thunderstorm storm that is moving through the area. Not actually seeing any lightning with this cell, so it's just a very gusty, heavy shower that we're dealing with as this continues to quickly move out of Carroll County and pretty much pushing up into that next county as you get towards Sparta and then up towards the Warsaw area. So we'll just continue to keep an eye on this. Hopefully they begin to trim this morning as it pushes off to the east, and at that point maybe we can get you off air. But for now, that is what we're looking at and why we're continuing to be on air for this cell. Let's maybe again zoom out and show what we're kind of dealing with on the big picture. So we had the cold front, that is the line that is setting up, pretty much now moving out of the viewing area. As mentioned, we've been dry here in Louisville and much of the metro for the last hour, and that sun has come out. It's turning into a really nice, pleasant Saturday evening on the back side of that. There are a few light showers trying to redevelop. You can see here across southern Indiana, but they're just not having a whole lot of oomph as the upper level system is kind of rotating around, and that's what's going to bring us the rain chances as we continue into Sunday, is that wraparound moisture with this upper level low moving into the area. But really, things are moving out of the viewing area pretty quickly, and most of us are now completely done with the rain. But again, the reason we're on air is for this tornado warning that has been issued for very far northeastern Carroll County, pretty much now moving over into Gallatin County, northern Owen County as well. Pretty much right over, as I was mentioning, just to the north of Sparta and near the Carlson area, as it continues to kind of move right along the interstate there, maybe just to the north of Interstate 71. But you can see it is moving pretty good as we kind of zoom this down a little bit more. Yeah, it's pretty much right over top the interstate as it is now making its way up into that region. So a good little cell here that could have tried to get some rotation. Again, you see that little inflow there. That's where that wind is probably coming in on the backside, trying to get a little bit of that rotation. But as we turn this over to our rotation detectors and kind of get a better idea of what's going on with that cell and that storm, you can see not looking overly that impressive as far as the base velocities go. Now, if we get a little higher up, that's where we're seeing some of the greens and reds kind of showing those winds kind of fighting each other and trying to show a little bit of that rotation. So that's why the National Weather Service just wanted to be extra cautious with this cell. We've been seeing some of these small rotations along that leaning edge of the cold front, and so they've just gone ahead and issued this tornado warning for that cell as it is now continuing to push off to the east pretty quickly. Again, moving off to the northeast at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. As you know, that line moved through rather quickly earlier this evening. It only rained for 10 to 15 minutes maybe at your house before the rain made its way off to the east rather quickly. So that shows you this front has a little bit of some wind energy with it. So that's what maybe is just trying to spin it up a little bit. And that's what kind of caused that tornado warning to be issued up in that area. So we'll be with this for maybe about another 15 minutes or so as it continues to work its way, but it is quickly moving out of our viewing area. And again, most of the rain is done. We got just a little bit of some lingering showers still back across portions of Henry County. The heavy rain also starting to now make its way through the capital of Frankfort, getting some really intense downpours there. That continues down towards the Lawrenceburg area, heading towards Versailles and Midway. Still probably about another 20-30 minutes from getting to Lexington. But again, most of this has now made its way out of the viewing area. Just got a little bit of also rain the farther south you get down into Adair County, now pretty much to the east of Columbia, heading towards the Russell Springs area. But again, things looking a lot better across the region. We've just continued to have these rounds of rain move through with this system. We had that first one this morning around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. The good news was we got that round that came through around 2 o'clock, and that was really kind of our saving grace as it unfortunately kind of zapped the energy for this main line that then moved through around 6 o'clock. If we didn't get that round at 2 o'clock, we could be seeing a much stronger line that is now pushing into the area. But you can see that is kind of what we're doing. There's been some other tornado warnings farther off to the north and east. There was one earlier just to the north of Harrison area near the Mount Carmel area in Indiana. And now you can see there's a couple more as you get up along the Indiana-Ohio line there near the Richmond and Camden area up into those areas, just to the north of Oxford, which is where Miami University is in Ohio. So this system is showing just a little bit of some of that rotation, causing some of these tornado warnings earlier. Downtown Indianapolis, Marion County in Indiana, they also had a tornado warning. So this little system, we thought maybe could have that potential of seeing just a little bit of some of that rotation trying to cause some of these warnings. And so that's what's happened with this. You're just getting a little bit of some influx coming in on the backside, trying to give it a little bit of some rotation. But as I was mentioning, it does look like the worst of the storm has now pretty much moved out of Carroll County and is making its way up into the Gallatin County area, out of Owen County as well, getting very close to Warsaw. You're getting some very intense rains up in that location with this cell. So you can see it is moving off to the east. So we got about another 15 minutes. Again, this tornado warning for Carroll, Owen, and then up into the Gallatin continues until 8 o'clock this evening for what was a little bit of some rotation. Again, as we look at the velocities, not really seeing, it's more kind of lining up with how the radar would be scanning this. You're not seeing the bright and tight rotation with this. And even again, on the base velocity, not seeing a whole lot. And there they go. They've now trimmed it. So the tornado warning has moved out of our viewing area, out of Carroll County. So the good news is Carroll County, you are no longer under that tornado warning. It has now made its way off to the north and east. So with this cell now completely out of our viewing area, and as we look at the big picture, nothing else really happening across much of the WLKY viewing area. We'll go ahead and get you back to your regular scheduled programming, but if anything else comes up, I'll be sure to break in, but we'll send you back to the regular programming now.
We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress.